Hello students, in today's tutorial we're going to look at InDesign and we're going to look at photo effects that we can do to various photos in InDesign, and we're going to work with these two stock photos, one that is landscape and the other one that is portrait. So the first thing that I'd like for you to do is to open your template, and you can see that I've actually already started where I put the top 3 photos as actual pictures of the flower and the bottom 3 of this portrait of the piano. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that you use file place and use your fitting tools. So you would do file place, you would place your photo in your photo box. Remember, use the photo box here. We're going to actually just do one together. So I'm going to place the so I'll go down to file place. I'm going to place this piano these piano keys, and then I'm going to make sure I'm on the black arrow, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to fitting, fill frame proportionally. I'm going to just click over here. I want to make sure it's the blue part, and I'm going to move that up a little bit. And then I'm going to show you about several of these effects. I'm going to show you what they do. One of the most predominant effects and effects that you will use frequently in design is a drop shadow. Now, the drop shadow, you click on the menu, and typically when it comes up, it'll be on black, which is your standard color for a drop shadow, and you would hit OK, and you can see this has a nice black drop shadow around it. Now let's go down into the effects, and I go to drop shadow, and I want to make this drop shadow this blue color around the pianos, because I don't really have brown. Maybe I'll do this like yellowish color here. It'll go automatically with the swatches that you have. Don't worry about the different color swatches just yet. We'll talk about creating swatches in another tutorial. Hit OK, and voila, you have a nice gold kind of drop shadow on here. Now, inner shadow isn't quite as exciting as a drop shadow. You can't really see the effects that much. They're just very subtle effects. So I'm going to click on inner shadow. I want to double click and see that drop shadow is still checked. It's another quirk of this version of InDesign. So I want to make sure the inner shadow is checked. And I'm going to do an inner shadow, and I'm going to do it this blue color because there's not a lot of blue color in this particular picture, and it's this bright blue color. And I want to change the distance. I'm going to take it up to about 3 picas, and I'm going to hit OK, so it can show you with what it did with the inner shadow. It actually just put it on this particular part and the other part. If I had left it on the default, it would have been all the way around the picture, but it would have been very slight and you wouldn't have seen it. You won't really use inner shadow very often. Occasionally, if you do go back to effects and go to inner shadow, you would use most likely a black inner shadow. I would change this to, I don't know, 0.8 maybe, or 0.8, and see what that does. And you can see that that just gives it a slight inner shadow on these corners. And you know, if I want to do the other corners, I can go in and do that as well. Now the next particular effect is outer glow, and they're all listed in this effects panel. So you want to go to outer glow. You want to make sure that the inner shadow is turned off for whatever reason. InDesign defaults to the last one that you were there, and we're going to just keep there's a softer or more precise outer glow. I typically like the softer just because it tones down the picture. It just gives it a little bit of tone. So we're just going to use the white, and you can, I don't know if I'll try and zoom in if you can see that or not. It's very faint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my effects panel, and instead of making it that paper color, we're going to make it this blue color, because I seem to think this blue stands out on the best on this particular pink background for you to see. And we're going to take it all the way up to 2.5 picas, and you can see that the outer glow is this blue color right around it, and it's on the outside of the picture. So we may use that occasionally, but I just want to show you the different effects in InDesign and kind of what they do. The next one is the inner glow, where it literally just goes that's actually inner shadow, inner glow. We want to make sure inner shadow is turned off and outer glow as well. Inner glow, I'm going to keep this there. The source is the edge. You can also do it from the center, and I'm going to actually do it pretty large. We're going to do it over 5 pixels, and it started from the center and it went outwards. And if I go back into the effects and we start it from the edge, and you can see it going around the inside edge of the picture. And then the next part is to bevel. So you want to click on your photo, go to Effects, and go to Bevel and Emboss. Just want to make sure that nothing else is checked. So alright, so that nothing is checked, but bevel and emboss, the highlight and the multiply color, the smooth bevel. We're going to increase the size so you can see it, and this is the bevel effect. It just kind of bevels the edges. It gives it this nice little beveling around the edges. And then the emboss effect, where we will go back to the effects, and the that's an inner bevel. And let's just do an emboss, and let's just make it blue and pink to make it really crazy. And so you can see it. We're going to take the size up, and it always leaves back to from where you've started from. We're going to just take this really up high to 3, and then, oh, that's very interesting. I apparently didn't click on that, but this was the embossing part as far as with this last picture. I forgot to click on this one, and so I'm going to just edit, undo effects, and I'm going to click over here, make sure I'm on the black arrow, and clicked it out of the frame a little bit, so I'm going to move the frame in, and then I'm going to go back to effects, and I'm going to go to bevel and emboss. I'm going to leave this there. I guess it did, because we've not done anything with this picture. It left everything the same. I'm going to just take it up to 2 picas just because you'll be able to see it better, and hit OK. And that's the embossing effect. So that's all for this tutorial. What I'd like for you to do is to go ahead, take these pictures and try these effects, and then show them to your teacher.